So you talk about this experience, this phenomenon of soul emergence.
I believe through the work internally and with others that for a long time, actually been happening with my own system, is that my soul has been emerging through the intensive work of clearing out all that dust, as they say, that settled upon our light. Through that kind of uncovering and discovering of who I truly am, what I really discovered was more of my soul's essence, my soul's mission, my soul's purpose. My soul was beginning to emerge through the human form, right? We are these luminous, energetic beings. And then the soul just has full room and spaciousness to just shine and to just move forth and through. I mean, it's not really about becoming something that you've never been. It's about becoming who you truly are. There's this spark of the moment of your existence where it began, right? This divine spark, this pure divine spark. You began your journey into this form-based reality. We are remembering again.
Awakening hasn't been a single moment of transformation for Ragan Thomson. It's been more like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon again and again, and each stage helping her remember more of who she truly is. Ragan learned early on to navigate life by pursuing the approval of others through outward performance, but as she deepened her spiritual practice, something began to shift. Through years of inner healing and conscious metamorphosis, she started to experience what she calls soul emergence. And today, Ragan helps others release old energetic imprints, silence the mind's distractions, and open their heart to divine wisdom. She's a contributing author to our latest book, Awakened Hearts, Sacred Stories of Breaking Free and Rising Higher, and you will be inspired by her chapter. Stay with us today because what she remembered in the light may help you remember yourself. I'm your host, David Trotter. Welcome to the Awaken Magazine podcast. Ragan, it's great to see you today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to be here with everybody.
Yeah, so you talk about this experience, this phenomenon of soul emergence. And so I'm curious how that is maybe a little bit different than what people might think of as personal development or therapy or self-improvement. I got to fix these problems that I have, right? How do you see soul emergence as a little bit different?
Okay, thank you. Great question. I love to talk about this question. I believe through the work internally and with others that for a long time, what has actually been happening with my own system is that my soul has been emerging. So, what I mean by that is through the intensive work of clearing out all that dust, as they say, that settled upon our light. Through whatever way for folks, right? For myself, it's been a combination of healing modalities over the course of time. And so through that kind of uncovering and discovering of who I truly am, what I really discovered was more of my soul's essence, my soul's mission, my soul's purpose. Really starting to feel myself become at peace and at ease and more joyous and all these things. And I was like, well, what's really happening here? And I realized what was really happening is that my soul was beginning to emerge through the human form, right? So when we say, we have that expression, shine your divine light or shine your beautiful light into the world, right? We hear this a lot. What I feel is really happening on a real soul level is that our soul, the beautiful, luminous, bright being that we are, that's kind of existing inside of our body temple for the short time that it does. When we do that deeper healing work, it begins to start to exude more light and bring more light out of your system and start to shine forth and through. It shines forth and through your eyes. It shines forth and through your third eye. We are these luminous, energetic beings. So our soul, rather than more the ego or any of the child cells, maybe that have not fully resolved, that all kind of just transcends, takes a backseat, heals, feels joyous, the child within, all the above. And then the soul just has full room and spaciousness to just shine and to just move forth and through. I believe it's also part of the amazing pathway of ascension, of enlightenment, the soul just basically getting its full opportunity just to burst into light.
The word that comes to my mind is that it's unencumbered in that moment, that the weight of whatever, or as you said, the dust, right? It's unencumbered so that it can shine, have full expression, full freedom. I
Yeah.
know oftentimes one of the things that people talk about with an awakening process is I'm a new person. Like I'm stepping into a new season of life. And one of the things that I'm hearing though from you is that it's not just emergence, but it's a remembering. Like it's a
Hmm.
remembering of who I am. How do you see this process of remembering?
Yeah. I mean, it's not really about becoming something that you've never been. It's about becoming who you truly are. And it's a remembering of who you truly are, meaning there's this spark of the moment of your existence where it began, right? This divine spark. And kind of the beginning of the moment of self, as they call it. And when you become this divine spark, which is just incredible to think, when did that begin and where did that start? And that can be, the mind would really love to attach to that. But there was a moment, and the moment of your existence. And in that moment, as this pure divine spark, you began your journey into this form based reality. And when that occurred, as you know, it hasn't always been easy on our planet. You know, it hasn't always been a real cakewalk around here. We've had the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages. We speak about this quite a bit, that we just left the Kali Yuga in March. So, entering into the age of light, entering into this age of awakening, this spiritual awakening that truly is gracing our planet at this time in a really beautiful way. Um, and before that, that's not how it always felt. You know, that's not it wasn't really even easy to access healing at some of those, that time period, or those time periods. Um, we had some amazing teachers that came along to help us, such as Master Jesus, just as an example. We've had Buddha, we've had Kuan Yin, we've had ascended beings come and help us. We've had angels, we've had guides trying to help us along to this point. But as you know, like during those times, it was not um, always so accessible actually to receive the healing or the support or the understanding of our energy systems. So along the way, our soul's light, our true divine kind of soul, that spark that we are, in some way kind of gets a little bit covered up. It's almost like any of the unhealed, unprocessed material, any of the parts, as we call them, any non-integrated parts, such as child parts specifically, that we kind of carry with us, in fact, into lives. Any of that wounding, it's not like it goes away as we take a new body. We actually end up kind of bringing forth and through wherever we left off. So, as it can happen, sometimes that remembrance starts to dissipate and we start to kind of forget. And I believe that's exactly what was designed for our planet, that we would forget. And without getting into a deep dive and what that's really about, the truth is it doesn't really matter anymore because we are remembering again. And we don't need to dive too deep into the story of why we forgot, but a lot of us did. We started to forget. We started to forget the truth of who we are. We started to forget that we are souls in a body. We started to believe that we are going to die and that's it. And we started to believe that, we're not good enough and we're not worthy and we're not these luminous, amazing, miraculous light beings. So that whole facade on our planet, I believe that's now also what's happening. There's a remembrance on a bigger scale, not only of my soul remembering, but many people's souls remembering. Yeah.
I'm hearing you talk on a kind of a macro level of this remembrance of what's happening, uh, kind of like planetary awakening, planetary remembering. I'm curious about your own process. So, like, as you have gone through those seasons of life, and as you talk about in your book or in your chapter in Awakened Hearts, you talk about this metamorphosis that is not just a one time process, but there's multiple processes, multiple metamorphoses. Um, I'm curious about Ragan Thompson's process of remembrance. Like when you have been going through that, what does that look like or feel like on a daily basis? Like you've got kids, you've got a
Mhm.
husband, you've got a business, you've got life, right? What does it look like? some of us are trying to remember, and we also are trying to make a living, like have a
Mhm.
job, and some like
Yeah.
how do you and have kids, right?
Mhm.
And how do you navigate all of that in the remembering process?
Thank you. Gosh, that is a ongoing balancing and rebalancing act, I would say, with my practice, with myself, and my connection to spirit, to source, to universe, to creation, meaning that every day is a new day. And one of the most important, like, internal mantras that I've had within myself that's helped me along is just the intention of choosing the light in every moment. Just that, just waking up and going, this is not just this what I see. There's so much more happening right here. There's so much more meaning and depth to every little piece of life, every character that I meet, every conversation that I have. I think that where I used to be, which is where I felt that I needed to meditate and do ancient Sanskrit mantra chanting as many hours as I possibly could. And if I missed that, then oh my gosh, like what, I haven't done my practice and I'm not feeling as centered. I absolutely does practice in that way, formal practice assist us to feel more centered, more grounded, more balanced. Absolutely. Um, what has shifted though in the last few years is that my practice is found in every moment. It's found in the day to day reality. So, therefore, when I'm with my husband, or when I'm with the children, or when I'm with in service, or if I'm just hanging out with a friend, I'm in an awareness. My awareness is on, like, my consciousness, my awareness. It's in tune with knowing that what's happening right here, it's divine. It's like no matter what it is, you know what I mean? Like even a challenging moment with my children, especially that. I'm like, spirit, God, universe, again, like however you all connect. Um, is teaching me something. Like life is literally like a learning soul playground. It's like I really feel that every conversation I have, every challenge that I have, every activation I have, every trigger, it is literally an opportunity for me to learn about something within myself. And so my intention on a daily basis, yes, it's to choose the light. It's also to really be accountable to my energy, right? So that's kind of how the balance consistently is found, because within a realm of a moment, I might feel, I wasn't very patient right there. I know that I lost patience. I know that I reacted. And so really, like, who is it that's reacting and why and what's happening within me? What could I be doing for myself right now? Is there a prayer that to share with myself? Is there a meditation, or should I journal this for a moment, what this was? Or is there a child part still that is within me that's needing my attention? Is that just the ego itself taunting? I mean, it's really like this kind of consistent dive within, even if it's just for the moment, or it takes a few moments, or it takes a few minutes, or it takes a few hours. But that's kind of how I've learned to live, really consciously live. And so, what used to feel very hard, I'd have to say, there was arduous years in my earlier life because I felt really weighed down by those triggers. I felt like I was failing in some way, or every time I had one, I had so much judgment I needed to clear out of my system to see that no, there's nothing wrong with me. This is actually how this whole system works. This is actually it's everybody's going to experience some level of pain or discomfort throughout their day or their week, and it's how we respond to it is the key. So that's kind of the longer-winded version to say that, learning to respond rather than react has been the ultimate goal. I would say that when I lose that balance or that center, that's when I also see it as an opportunity more now than I used to, for sure. And there is, the pathway of remembering. I especially feel when I take that breath and I go within and I am, feeling that reactive state want to come online, and I do check in and I do slow down and I do take that breath and that beat and I speak differently and I choose something more loving. That for me is every time is almost like a remembrance.
Mhm.
That moment is like remembering again. Ah, okay, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I find that in a lot of partnerships, that there's one person who's a little bit more intense, high octane, like, kind of get stuff done. And the other person's a little more chill, a little more gracious, a little more laid back or whatever. Which one are you in the relationship? Or am I
Yeah.
wrong and you're both gracious and chill and or both intense?
I have gone all places in that role. I've gone to That's an interesting question because my understanding of this path and this life within myself has been all about learning both sides of the coin. So whatever you share with me, you're going to ask me. I will say to you, I have practiced both. Have. I mean, I've felt it's almost like that's been the primary kind of way that my soul has learned. It was like, well, you've tried it on this side, we'll go over here. Oh, you're learning to be compassionate. Now they're learning to give you compassion. Can you receive the compassion? Like, it's like I always try out both sides. And so yeah, in my partnership right now with my husband, for example, um, I've been both very spicy and impatient. And he's been very spicy and impatient. So I had to practice receiving and like listening to him and not reacting. Like, we've gone both sides of that. I've practiced being, oh, you're very self-absorbed, sweetie. You're not really hearing what I have to say. It's like I practice being reactive to that and then learning to be patient and understanding and compassionate. I've also been the one he was like, "You're not really hearing me. You're just talking about yourself, and I don't feel like you're really hearing what I have to say." So learning to listen, to hear, to speak, to communicate, and to not withdraw my voice. Like I said, it's like I could go through so many examples. There's been both sides. And for sure, between my husband and I, we have been an amazing mirror for each other to practice both. Yeah.
I love how you say that even in your chapter. You're like so gracious. You're like, we have been an amazing mirror. My parents have been an
Oh,
amazing mirror for me. It's like such a good, I got to say that to Mandy when she makes me upset. I'm like, you're such an amazing mirror to me.
right? I mean, aren't they just reflecting back to you more of yourself, really? I mean, if we truly are all that connected, right? If we're all one and we all truly are, and that is true, then we are just literally in this movie together, like reflecting back to each other. And then, oh my gosh, I'm so triggered. It's like, well, you're looking right at yourself. I mean, you're making me so mad. It's like, well, you're looking right at yourself. I mean, it's literally this awesome. I mean, I love relationships for that reason. I think relationships are some of the most primary, powerful ways to really resolve our inner work. Some folks might say, oh, I don't really want to do that. Well, yeah, it's not always easy. And I cannot tell you how much I have learned and grown because of my relationships. I don't even know what I would do. They've been my ultimate mirrors for sure.
Yeah, and especially that romantic partnership, those who are in that, it is so like just fertile ground for transformation if you will allow it to be. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It really is, David. Yeah, it's been I would say, number one relationship for sure that has done, the greatest amount of service to help me grow and evolve. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For someone who's listening today and they're in the middle of maybe that emergence where they're going, "Ugh, I'm trying to release some of those old stories, those old identities, and yet I'm trying to allow that new part of me to the butterfly, right, to come out, but I feel kind of stuck in the middle, like I'm stuck and I'm trying to spread my wings." What encouragement maybe would you give them today?
I would give them the encouragement that wherever you feel stuck in that moment, it's probably just your perception of what's happening that's creating that stuckness. Meaning, like, gosh, I can't tell you how many times during those metamorphoses that I thought I was stuck, but what was really happening, I was actually going through a process of growth and change that needed to, I felt like I'm not moving forward. I'm stagnant. I'm not doing anything. Spirit was like, yeah, exactly. That's what you're supposed to be learning right now. So, so the point is that the actual feeling of being stuck, and let's say within the realm of that stuckness, you say to yourself, well, the reason why I feel stuck is I feel like I'm not good enough. I don't feel, whatever this stuck energy is, I feel stuck because I don't know where to go next. And if I don't, then I'll fail. Like getting to the real energy behind the stuck, right? Whatever that is exactly what you're meant to feel. That of which you're like, "Oh, I'm stuck." Experience like exactly that feeling of being stuck. We want you to like clear that. And so meaning that no matter what you're going through, there's never a moment that's not precious. Even the moment when you're stuck or you're feeling you're in flow or they're both teachers. Right? And we think that, oh, when I'm in the flow state and everything's moving and everything's divinely manifesting and everything's great, there lies I must be on the right track and I must be doing a good job and I'm a good person. And oh, who would even say that? That's not even that. First off, the soul doesn't speak that way. The soul, why we're talking about soul emergence earlier, doesn't speak like that. There's no speaking like that. It's just a presence of energy of flow that is it creates flow, it craves stuckness, it creates growth, it wants learning, it yearns for learning about the human process. There is no judgment of I'm in flow, I'm stuck. It's like, no, wonderful. Let's learn about stuckness. It's there is no yeah, like no label that the soul would put on your process. It's only some part of ourself that would put a label on our process. And one of the parts of us could easily say, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. The identity, I am stuck. The identity speaks, the personality speaks in I, right? And I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling whatever. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm not worthy. So, all this stuff, right? I'm praying for folks in the world to start to realize that no matter what we're feeling, um, it is there to teach us something.
I was interviewing a gentleman named Adam Apollo yesterday, and he has a new book about reincarnation, essentially. But we don't use that word very often anymore. It's interesting. It's more like past lives or lifetimes. And he describes that, uh, the old view of reincarnation, which is embedded oftentimes in Indian, like more of a Hindu type framework, is of reward and punishment. And but then he describes reincarnation essentially as a learning engine, and a
Hmm.
learning engine, right? You're just experiencing this constant learning as you're talking about. We're here just to learn. Everything's a learning.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we're in the soul school, as they say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's other possibilities of what you could choose after your body transitions. And as far as we understand, there's other possibilities.
Hmm.
And folks who come back to this planet, specifically Earth, know the soul knows this is a really, really potent place for evolution.
Hmm.
It's not easy all the time. It is, but that's why it's so powerful. It's because when you transcend the ego and the parts and all this work you have to do internally, what is possible is vast and limitless in so many ways. And also, yeah, because it isn't always so easy. I believe that we are rewarded for staying true to the path and staying here. And I think the reward is you can, and we all kind of know, is freedom. It's freedom. It's realized freedom within. It's liberation. It's enlightenment. I mean, there's incredible rewards to staying true to this path. And so if it requires a few more lives to come back and keep going, you know, you're like, oh, really? Again? Oh my God, I'm going to be a child. And I'm going to be an adult. And I'm going to go to school. Oh my God. I have to be a teenager again?
Oh
Oh,
man.
can I just like maybe like skip?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess supposedly you can skip and we'll get into that some other time. But the point is, yeah, no, it's why I've come back. I mean, a long time. I've
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
back to this planet for a long time. Yeah.
Hmm. I mentioned earlier that you have a chapter in our new book, Awakened Hearts, which is sacred stories of breaking free and rising higher. And your particular chapter is called The Ongoing Spiritual Metamorphosis Within and Without. And I
Yeah.
want to read this couple sentences here toward the end of your chapter. You say, every stage of this evolutionary process, whether through art, love, motherhood, or spiritual practice, all seasons of your life, of course, has been a testament to the power of transformation. Like the butterfly, I have shed layers of fear, constriction, and ego, knowing that at each stage, I am being prepared for a new height of freedom, creativity, and joy. And so I walk this path consciously, embracing each chrysalis moment as an essential phase of my growth. I recognize the divine timing within it, trusting the universe's infinite wisdom as I continue to fly, unfurling my wings with gratitude for the sacred metamorphosis that continuously takes place within me. I'm curious why you use this metaphor of a metamorphosis and a butterfly coming out of the cocoon. Obviously, that's used it's, in terms of our own process. But out of all of the different metaphors that you could have used, what is it that resonates about that for you the most?
Well, the various stages, I think that really does represent well the human process that the butterfly goes through for real. I think it's a symbol as well as there's a lot of truth to that process. I believe that we are consistently going into this chrysalis to um, kind of change. I mean, as we do this inner work, it's just I if you saw me 20 years ago or 10 years ago, I personally wouldn't probably recognize myself. I wouldn't recognize my voice or what I look like. I don't know. I've seen pictures. I'm like, I don't really.
Tell us about that. Like, how are you different than 10 years ago?
Yeah. So the differences, I would say, I could even hear it in my voice. This more kind of not as grounded, more just highs and lows, even in the sound of my voice. Like it wasn't grounded and centered and calm. And you can't make that stuff up. It either becomes grounded, centered, and calm because you truly have done your inner work, or it isn't there yet. So, not if someone's, oh, you were younger. That's probably why. Well, not necessarily. There's amazing, beautiful, bright, grounded, illuminated beings that are 15 right now. And you'd be like, wow, listen to their voice. I mean, my goodness. So, the difference would be my voice, it would be my energy. I used to experience a lot of lows, like really like, God, that's, so low and then just so high, like just so confusing. It was really a lot. And now it feels like from the various cocooning stages of going into the chrysalis to allow myself to change within it. And that's what's really interesting about it is that there are times of retreat internally. As some of us are, oh, I'm very introverted, I'm very extroverted. We all really are. Some of us would say we more are introverted or more extroverted. Really, within every human, there's both. And I believe that some people are just in a very internal state at times, which they're kind of in the chrysalis and they are learning about themselves in that very inward state. They are allowing everything that they've experienced and witnessed, their environment, their relationships, to kind of move within them and through them and do the proper, appropriate or helpful healing work within themselves while they're in the chrysalis. Sometimes it's just a time of deep introspection and integration. And so it's not always about being outward. It's not always about being in service and just being go, go, go. We need times of retreat. We need times of going inward and just allowing ourselves to just be and just listen and just kind of be with ourselves, right? And I believe that those times of inner retreat are just as vital, if not more important, than the times of the outward service, right? So there's this metamorphosis, I believe, that can occur when we give ourselves the space, the spaciousness to be inside that stillness within ourselves. And so, yeah, I felt that when it came to a way to describe the path, it's this kind of undulating inward, outward, and also these moments of metamorphosis where you're just like, I am now the butterfly. And as the butterfly, usually we kind of get more into joyous service, typically as the soul loves to serve. I've noticed that the creativity comes online. You feel very, at least for myself, I usually take up singing or painting again, or I'm suddenly creating an album right now and I'm singing right now. So it's like who knows what will come, but it's interesting. I see the soul as these deeper awakening moments happen, which I do believe that the process of awakening, it deepens over time. It's not one awakening; it's many awakenings over time. And as we awaken deeper and more, like more of our soul emerges, there's this incredible thing that happens where, yeah, more of who we are comes online. So, gosh, suddenly someone will say, I had no idea that I could paint. I just painted like a landscape over there, and I have no idea that I could paint like that. Oh, my mother,
You're making me want to see this thing. You just painted a landscape?
I'm giving you an example, but I did do that. I took up painting later in life. Yeah. And it was like, wow, I created these landscapes. And like, I didn't do it just, last week, but I've had
Sure,
a
sure.
moment of
You
metamorphosis where
made
I
it
was
sound
like,
like it was right next to you. So I was like, wait a second here. I want to see this.
I wish I had it to show you, but they were pretty, yeah, lots of paintings actually for a while. And into singing again right now. I mean, I've done a lot of arts throughout this life, but suddenly you can see as far as one of the deeper moments of butterflyness again. It was like, yes, of course we need to sing. Why are you not singing more? I was like, oh, exactly. What am I? So the point is, it's like, yeah, just this awakening into joy, awakening, the soul innately is joy. It's not about finding joy or going to seek joy. Our soul is joy. Our souls, I think, as a universal, are joy, their love, their creativity, um, and everyone's kind of unique variation of what they bring forth as they awaken is what it is. I haven't met a soul yet that has gone through an awakening process that was not feeling a creative inspiration. I feel they tend to be like, can I create? What can I create today? It's really about that. It's this beautiful cocoon that goes through this metamorphosis into the butterfly. And I think there's many butterfly stages. I don't think there's one. It just keeps on evolving.
Hmm. I'm curious for those who are more like conscious leader, healer coaches that are listening who feel the pressure to always be creating content to get out there. And yet
Mhm.
there can feel like that season of, well, it's time for me to go inward. I need to go
Mhm.
in the cocoon, and yet I feel like our culture is telling me, or I've been told by these business gurus, I got to keep producing content for social media, for my email. Like, how do you navigate that? I mean, I know you have a team. A lot of obviously, I have a team in order to do Awaken Magazine, so we can rely on those team members in that time. But if you don't have a team and you're doing a lot of that, like, how do you navigate that?
That's when I think that it's so important to have as much balance on a consistent basis as possible internally, and that will be evolving consistently. I do have a team, and there are times of going inward, and they're like, "Oh, we were needing this content from you," and I'm like, I will get it done when I can today, or maybe it's going to be tomorrow. It does not serve me to share when I'm not feeling divinely inspired and spirits flowing, beautifully through. And if I'm in an inward state, with great gratitude, I share this with the team and then they are able to adjust. You're right. I don't have, not everybody has a team. So I didn't always have a team. And I did experience being kind of the one woman show with one soul show for a while. So I do know, and this was years ago, and I maybe had like an assistant, but I do remember that I absolutely had to really stay true to my practice within myself on a consistent basis so that if I really have to turn out content, then I'm going to, I was really in a deep state of like prayer and meditation, especially in the mornings. I do feel that's so helpful. And guess what? Like, if it doesn't happen, is it going to be okay? Like who's pushing us to do this content? Is that your soul or is that something else? And so I do just wish for anyone who's in this realm of service to really check in and be like, am I feeling like I'm going to be a divine expression of spirit right now or spirit? Or am I like pushing something out because I got to get it done? And maybe even an hour will be better than doing it in that moment, taking that beat, just moving into a prayer, meditation, whatever that healing modality is for you, and making a date to do it maybe in, a few hours or tomorrow. Um, it's going to be okay. I think that we get into this, oh no, and there's a deadline. It's like, can that deadline be moved? Can we change that? Or if it can't be, then what internal work can I do right now to find that balance within myself? Because most likely what's occurring as well is, somewhere within the realm of your energy, there hasn't been that balance. So therefore, maybe you've been giving more than you've been receiving, or you've been do, and not really just getting to practice presence as much. You didn't, something's been going on, right? Or you just did a great healing retreat and you've got a lot moving through. You've got some energy work that's happening. The celestial energies are supporting you on quite a lot to move up and out of your system. All of that's possibilities. And you're right, the world continues to happen. So, what can we do for ourselves? There's a lot that we can do for ourselves. I think one of the most quintessential ways that I connect deeply in the face of everything on a consistent basis is through breath. I think that the breath is everybody can do it. And it really is such a beautiful way to drop in deep, slow, gentle breaths. And then you can really check in and be like, gosh, is it time to do this content or not? Like, if it be even just 2 minutes of breath, sometimes folks are like, well, I took a deep breath. It's like, no, just a couple more minutes, really just deep, slow, gentle breaths. It's funny, it's some of the simplest things are the most effective, and we've been taught that it has to be complex and, you got to spend 25 minutes, and it's like, or is it just like closing my eyes and taking these breaths? And then also, yeah, just connecting into maybe a prayer, like, please help me. I need some assistance right now. I've got content to do and I'm not really feeling it. I am literally feeling more like I need to give to myself than I need to give to others. So, how am I supposed to do this right now? And there has been plenty of moments where that exact thing that I just shared with you, I needed to practice for myself because maybe I was moving into a retreat with folks or I was doing a class with someone. It was scheduled. I was going to be walking in there. So I find if this is comforting for folks that the work divinely is protected, that if we are serving as that conduit for the light, for spirit, it's almost like we're instantaneously supported and protected as we work. And so if you can trust in that, so helpful. Yeah.
Mhm. You
Yeah.
mentioned earlier that there is an awakening happening on
Mhm.
a global level. And so I'm curious how you know that to be true. What are the signs that that's happening? Like, I mean, turn on the news, Reagan. We call this an awakening. This sounds like, it looks like destruction oftentimes. Of course, that's what we're being fed by the news. But what are the signs that this awakening is happening around us?
So I'll speak on behalf of my own system at the moment, and then I'll speak on behalf of the collective. So internally, it's just a whole new walk. I mean, it's like I do a lot of energy work with folks as well as with myself. And I have found that what's happening now with the ability to work within the realm of light work and energy work, it's far more acceleration of what's happening in the healing space within myself and others. What used to take half an hour to do a meditation. Now you can call in the light and bring in light into the system for 5 minutes. And it's like, whoa, there's so much light coming into our planet. So if you have a connection to the light in that way, and you're starting to really start to have a relationship with the light, you're going to feel the difference. And so that's what's number one has been happening for my own system. And then as I'm helping and working with others, I'm noticing that they also, the light's moving through me as the conduit, and then they're experiencing it inside the healing space. There's just so much palpable, loving light. It's almost like we'd had like it's almost like I see the planet's almost like had a glass ceiling around it and it's being cracked, and there's light coming in, there's more coming in. And so any of those beautiful divine assistants that have already been here with us, they're just able to get through to us more easily now. So that's kind of how I see what's happening, as far as the enlightened beings that are assisting the planet, the ascended beings, the archangels, the angels, all of our guides. It's like where we kind of were like, I don't know, am I being assisted? And it's like now we're like, oh, I think there is. I feel like there's something helping me. Like even the folks that are like, I felt alone, but now I'm starting to feel something much more deep and powerful. So I'm hearing that a lot from other people as well. I'm hearing this from clients. I'm hearing this from healers as well that are friends of mine. They're like, wow, this is not just something we're speaking about or was destined or some sort of era that we entered into. It's kind of ramping up. It's starting to be felt where there's not only those who are, like I said, doing the healing work, but those who are not, that are saying, something's changing, something's within me. And the folks that you would least think would even be caring about spirituality or growth or healing, they're saying, I am ready. I want to do something. I need some assistance. I don't know why, but I'm starting to read this book called whatever, something by Deepak Chopra. Suddenly they're like,
Let's say it's awakened hearts. Okay,
I'm
let's just
about
say
to say
that's
that. I'm about to say that. I was like, awakened hearts. They're like, oh my God, I saw this book and that's me now. Maybe I can, is that what's happening to me? So I think that there's way more awareness also rising as well around, yes, this is uncomfortable within me, but also as I witness the world, I'm feeling a lot of compassion, and I feel like how can I help and how can I serve? So there's also a lot more people being like, maybe it is about the heart, and maybe I am here to serve. How can I help? What can I do? So I do a lot of local service, but I do a lot of global service. And for many years, I was in an organization that was kind of working within the realm of many different dimensions of the human process. Um, Environmental, spiritually, just really kind of looking at all the different systems and saying, okay, what do we need to bring here to this to bring more balance and harmony to our planet and consciousness? And so I was on the front lines for many years globally, learning about the human processes in all different types of ways. And one of the key principles that we brought in was the need for us to learn to collaborate consciously, right? To like really collaborate. I would say that was actually strangely the most challenging thing for our organization. Here we are knocking on doors of many different organizations, even spiritual, that were like, is there something you need? You want something from us? Like, is this competition? I'm like, what are we talking about? I thought we were talking about cultural collaboration. Like, isn't this what we've been asking for our planet to learn to unify and become one? In order for us to do that, we need to learn to collaborate. We need to learn to work together egolessly. So the reason why we're bringing this up is that that's also something that I'm seeing that's happening with the awakening of the world. And I know I'm onto something because my whole body is full of God bumps. My whole system is electric. So what I'm saying is that suddenly, not only I actually did resign from this organization a little while ago because I was told to do some other work and it's all unfolding. But what is happening as we work with folks and we talk about collaboration, especially if we knock on the door and say, would you like to? And some different initiatives we're working with, yeah, they're saying yes. They're like, sounds great. And I'm telling you, it was not like that just a few years ago. And so something has happened from the end of the Kali Yuga, which is in March, the end of the Dark Ages, between now and this moment, which is now what we're in November. I mean, I can only imagine what's going to happen in the next 6 months.
one of the things that I hear among leaders and healers is that one's own personal healing process can help in the awakening of our planet. like that as I heal, that impacts others. There are so many people that are obviously just pursuing just the outward stuff of our world, right? They're just pursuing stuff and oftentimes in reactivity mode to all of that stuff as well. How can I go about my own healing process? Like, what would that look like in order for me to participate in this awakening by me focusing on my own healing?
It's 100% the most vital thing that we can do right now is participate in our own inner healing. It really is true. We are luminous beings of light. So we have a light capacity. And the more that our light starts to shine forth and our light capacity increases, and that happens with inner work, it just does, more light comes in, more light starts to stay, and we become more light, we become more bright. And during this pivotal time of awakening, it's important for more souls, if they so choose, to increase their light. It just really amplifies this time period. Everyone's light matters. Every system matters, meaning every energy system. Um, our light, the light basically within the planet, there's like a tipping point, and it's been tipping. It's tipping more into the light, more into light. So yeah, with as folks awaken, they feel the light, they see the light in others. They're like, "What is that? I feel you. You seem so peaceful. Can I'd like some of that." Like our light and our work internally, we serve as an example to others. We model it for others. They can see possibly they too could feel that way. And right now, with the light coming in, and then also within the individuals, that's more lights coming in and starting to exude. There's just such a recipe for people who would you least expect would say, "Gosh, I'm kind of tired of being sick and tired and sad, and I would like to feel well." I see more of that on this planet. Can I also have that? And meaning also, as what's so great about that, when someone wakes up a little bit more, typically they tend to want to serve and help.
Mhm.
They want to get involved. They want to say, even if it's just at their local church for a couple hours a day, or once a week, or it's at their school with their children, and they're like, yeah, I am going to volunteer. I'm going to, or they're looking to do a larger world initiative, doing some sort of, working with an organization or starting a 501(c)(3) or supporting philanthropically in the world. There's so many ways that we can serve and help, but you can imagine that if more people wake up and more people care because of that, which is the natural byproduct, and serve, we would have a very different planet. We'd have an awakened world.
Mhm. I know for me, I'm in my uh, mid mature years. All right, just mid mature years. Let's call it that. 52. My daughter's 26, and I have a very close relationship with her. And as I continue to share my own growth, my own healing process, she's really like inspired, like to like she's been involved with therapy. She grew up in a home where therapeutic language was used, but it seems like somehow modeling this for those who are closest to us, like if we have a partner who's not necessarily into this kind of thing, modeling, or our own kids.
Mhm.
Can you speak to that in terms of the importance of especially women, because women are the most influential individuals on our planet among like a family unit? Like, can you speak to that at all in terms of the importance of, I don't know, modeling it for our family members?
Absolutely. It's been one of the greatest reasons I even got into doing internal work, because right before I had my first child, I was like, I want to be more clear for her. I want to feel more, I want to
Mhm.
be a great mom. I not only want to do my own internal work, my understanding, I already knew that as I did my work, that it would change how I parented. It would change. Hopefully, I'd be more peaceful, more loving. I would more patient. I was just really inspired to be an excellent mother. That's how it began. And sure enough, it did help so much. I was excited to be a mother, and it felt really good. And then throughout the entirety of my life, I see family as like a crucible to see, like, if you can show up there patient and loving and awake and aware and all those good things, they will feel that. And I will be inside this more loving, peaceful crucible. Of course, everybody's gonna have their stuff, and they're gonna have their pain, and they're gonna work through different dimensions of their system and what they need to work through. But yeah, I have noticed for sure that when I'm in the family or in the world, in a more conscious, centered, grounded, loving way, that certainly does move into the space and into the room. And I've seen, great. Yes, I've modeled this for my husband. I've modeled it for my children. But like, it's interesting. We've done family retreat work. I've done family, I've done retreats with my husband. We've been doing healing work since we met, which was 17 years ago. So we've been doing a lot of healing work together. And so we model for each other. I think we model for someone just walking into a grocery store.
Mhm.
I mean, just saying hello and good morning. And you never know, like, they're like, no one said good morning to me today and no one was kind. And suddenly they're like, wow, people are kind and it does exist. It is true that what is within us attracts what's without us, right? So that also happens. And at the same time, sometimes, spirit throws in a little test. It's like, hey, even though you're feeling pretty centered right now, how about this? Will you be able to remain centered here? So in that moment, someone comes along and they're really having a tough day. And you're standing in your truth, you're standing in your center, you're standing in a sovereign, loving space. You can imagine that how that could help them.
Mhm.
Just by you shining your light in that moment in a centered way.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
One of the things that you have done both in the first and second Awaken Hearts books is share your story. And so I'm curious about the power of story. Should we be telling our story during this time of awakening? How can our story actually make an impact in other people's lives?
Yeah.
Why are you sharing your story?
I stopped sharing my story for a while because I felt like I was not as connected to it anymore. It felt like it was more and more in the past. And I was just working from the energy work that, I'd done within myself. And I felt the wisdom that held for folks and connecting to my soul and being a channel for spirit. Um, the story kind of went out the window. But during this last while, working with Awakened Hearts and the books, as well as just Awakened Magazine and other folks that have been asking about my story. I think that's a part of this awakening world that we're in right now. I think it's very assistive. I think that folks are like, I'm kind of feeling this thing happen within me. I don't know. I kind of want to get my hand held. I'm not sure why, but I feel I'm changing and I have more awareness. And I think it really assists people to hear someone's story and where they've been through, especially if it's involved a journey of healing and evolution that has, as mine has, or others have. I think it's very supportive. I think it builds, like, oh, you too have been through things. So if I go through things, I also can heal these things. I hope that it gives people courage to walk forward. I hope it gives them faith that they too can heal their story. Um, the story hopefully is a healing assist to others. That's why I've been sharing about it, so they can
Mhm.
see that I've actually been through many, many tough chapters. And where I'm currently at is, thank God I did the work, because it's been more than worth it.
I love hearing your story. I always tell authors like the two things that result from me reading someone's story or hearing it verbally is connection and empathy. Like I feel the connection because I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, I feel like I know someone's because our world in large part, social media is curated to look beautiful and just be a snippet in time. And you don't feel or hear the texture of someone's life, the ups, downs, twists, and turns. And so when I hear that, it makes me feel connected to them. And then
Hmm.
there's no, like, there's not judgment of like, oh, I can't believe they did that or whatever. It's empathy. It's, wow, I just want to give them a hug or I want to like let them know that hey, I'm on their team or whatever. And like you said, then I know I'm not alone. Like I'm not the only one who's been through ups and downs. So I appreciate you sharing your story because I just believe it is so powerful. I would even go so far to say it's ugh, I'm no expert. I probably shouldn't even be saying this, but I'm going to say it's the number one tool to help in the awakening process. Because when I hear someone else's story, it makes me feel not alone, but it also expands my mind around what's
Hmm.
possible. Because when you
Hmm.
talk about different things, I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yes,
So,
I do. It's
yeah.
amazing. I agree with you on all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to hear about the Thompson Global Impact Fund. I want to make sure I'm looking at my notes
Okay.
to make sure I got the
Okay.
right name, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Thompson Galactic. Come on, why'd you say global? This should be the Thompson Galactic
Right? What was I
Impact
thinking?
Fund.
Oh man,
Yes.
that's so true. Why didn't I move into galactic?
That
Maybe we'll
that
shift everything. I'm going to shift everything now.
that may be awkward though when you go to knock on the door for
I know.
collaborations. You're
They're
like,
like, what?
"What, the
Is this
Thompson
like
Galactic Impact Fund?"
Are you working with like different planets? Yes, I am. So, yes, it's a fund that's been created to really work with the most wonderful endeavors that I feel connected in my heart and soul to, that are doing great work on the planet to bring forth consciousness and collaboration and connection and healing. Those so far have been the type of initiatives that I've been involved with. I am currently looking to do a little deeper dive into helping educate around with youth specifically AI. And so bringing in like conscious governance to AI for students and schools, as well as just to children in general. I think it's really important. That's one of the initiatives. There's others. But yeah, just really trying to hone in on allowing my fund to support different initiatives to help us really evolve and just love and consciousness in this world. Yeah, that's the goal.
One of the things that we talked about the other day on a live stream was that you are having the opportunity to enter into rooms of leaders who might be focused definitely on philanthropic endeavors, focused on government impact, focused on a world impact, galactic impact. And you are having the opportunity to speak about some of these spiritual principles in an environment where that may not be the first thing that they're talking about. Can you like share a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I've found myself in Clinton Global Initiative recently. I find myself in rooms where, I'm talking about love and consciousness and healing in the heart with leaders that are like, no, we're go, 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 and we gotta do, and we gotta have we were working in this way that we used to work in. I feel like I'm meant to come in as a messenger to bring in that where we've been obviously has gotten us into a little bit of challenging dynamics and systems that need updating at this point. Say that lightly, and helping to awaken the heart as we work. That's kind of what I feel like is happening. I had no problem sharing it with a lot of leaders globally, politicians, legislators, what I'm doing in the world and what we're doing in the world to help as a team. And they were like, wow, that is helpful. We need that, don't we? And I was like, oh, yes. So bringing healing also to the hearts of the many, including those who are on the front lines and working in all those different dimensions of the human process. There's more receptivity, I think, all around the world, even in the rooms you'd least expect. So I feel like that's where Spirit's also been positioning me. Even in churches, sometimes that maybe they're like, no, we only speak this way, and this is what we're doing. And yeah, sometimes in churches as well, all different types.
I can speak as an expert in that area, and that would definitely be an area where this I would call it, yeah, it's just a more inclusive spirituality that is open to new ideas, new ways of thinking about God and a connection
Sometimes.
with God.
Yeah,
Yeah, very helpful,
sometimes.
very helpful.
Yep.
What are the ways that people can work with you in terms of receiving your wisdom, following your work? I know you specifically are involved in a community of faith in Santa Barbara. Like, what are
Mhm.
all the ways that people can work with you?
So RaganThomson.com, lots of resources there, lots of meditations, and I had a podcast show for a while. So there's some shows there as well. And I'm in development of a online spiritual soul school, which will be coming out pretty soon, hopefully launching in January. So that'll be a plethora of evolutionary teachings of all kinds to kind of bring in ancient wisdom into modern day reality. So that's coming. Also, what's current, I do teach a class once a month called Spiritual Awakening. So that is available online. You can sign up. If you go to my website, you'll see there's a newsletter you can sign up for. I'm kind of having consistent workshops and classes and different things coming up on a pretty consistent basis. So that's a great way to find out what's next, getting on the newsletter so you'll know about the upcoming events and things that are happening. I do a lot of work on Insight Timer. I have a profile there, so I have lives I'm doing weekly. So that's a great way to receive this work internally, meditation or talks, lives at Insight Timer Weekly. And then also a lot of my more content that I'm creating also lands on my profile at Insight Timer. So it's an excellent place to go and experience this work internally.
Reagan, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for what you're doing in the world, both spiritually, philanthropically, which those are the same, right? Those are
Yep,
not
they
separated.
are. No.
And thank you for how you're helping the world awaken to love. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here with you, David. You're doing such beautiful work as well. I'm so grateful for you.